And here we go, and we're going to join things in modern. This is Sam Wolloch against Kubin-Phan. Let's see what's going on here. Looks like we're joining things at the point where Manamorphose has just resolved.
So from the looks of it, Kubin-Phan is playing Storm here. Or, I'm sorry, Sam Wolloch is playing Storm here. Twan had Thoughtseize away the Baral. Significantly slows down Sam's ability to win. Sam's opening hand actually looked like it was likely to be a turn 3 win.
Really?
Had Kubin-Phan not had the Thoughtseize there.
Kubin-Phan's always going to have the Thoughtseize, though. Am I right? They always have it.
Yeah, what's our counter up to now?
All right, Thoughtseize counter is currently at 17.
You actually kept that going all day yesterday?
Yes. Oh, 18.
18.
There we go.
Oh, my God.
And it's just from when JVL and I are watching, so when Marshall is on screen, I don't know how many Thoughtseize they've seen then.
Well, we're including Inquisitions, I believe.
Yes, we are including Inquisitions.
Were we going to include Collective Brutality? So we're...
I mean...
If they have that mode?
I probably should have, but we didn't.
Okay, all right.
It would be probably up to 20-something by now.
Probably.
Another Thoughtseize here, once again. Twan just writing down the cards in Sam's hand, always a good practice to make sure you can keep track of what is going on with the Storm player.
Yeah, so now he's probably either taking a sleight of hand or this copy of Manamorphose here. Just wants to completely limit Sam's ability to, put together the necessary combo pieces to achieve victory.
How good is a card like Thoughtseize against a Storm player? I mean, is taking away just one piece of what usually can be kind of a redundant puzzle good enough?
Yeah, so the best way to beat a deck like Storm is to disrupt it with cards like Inquisition and Thoughtseize and to follow that up with a really fast clock. Because if you're able to, cast some Thoughtseizes, cast some Inquisitions, then kill your opponent around turn 5 or 6, you're likely in a really good position in the matchup. However, if you're just casting Thoughtseizes out of, a deck that can't really apply that kind of pressure, then they don't really have as much of a strong effect because the Storm deck will have enough time to sculpt a perfect hand again because they're playing so many cards that just find them the right cards.
Another sleight of hand here from Sam Wolloch. Plays an island. And pass.
Yeah, from the looks of it, with that sleight of hand, it seems that Sam actually found a Past in Flames.
Ooh.
And we know he already has a couple rituals in hand. He has that Manamorphose in his graveyard. If he's able to find and keep alive, or even just find when he has a few lands in play, a card like Goblin Electromancer and or Baral, Chief of Compliance, then it's going to be pretty elementary for him to just go off and win.
Yeah, taking down that Baral early from Sam was really, really critical for Phan.
Absolutely. But another thing that Sam might be thinking about is, especially considering that Phan had multiple discard spells, it may be indicative of the fact that Phan's hand does not have access to a card like Fatal Push or the like that could deal with something like Baral and or Goblin Electromancer.
How do you feel generally in this matchup? Do you feel one deck is favored?
I believe the Grixis Shadow deck is favored in a matchup like this. Again, they're a deck that plays a good amount of disruption and follows it up with a quick clock. And that's really what you want to be doing against this Storm deck.
4 cards in the graveyard currently for Phan. 2 mana available if we're thinking about starting a clock, but he's just going to pass the turn right on back to Sam.
Yeah, now Phan, he has a Snapcaster Mage in hand, but he did not have the 3rd land that he would have needed to Snapcaster or Thoughtseize. So I wouldn't be surprised here if we saw Twan simply cast the Snapcaster Mage on Sam's end step, simply because of the fact that he could be accepting his role in this matchup as needing to kill his opponent as fast as possible.
All right, no snap on end step, just goes to draw, finds a Serum Visions.
I'm really puzzled, and this isn't a joke setup. I'm just genuinely puzzled. Sam seems to have half his hand one way up and half his hand the other way up. Like if you see him shuffling through, he has multiple cards with the text at the top.
Oh,
Look,
sure
there you
enough,
go.
look at that.
Right? It's like, but it doesn't seem to be in a particular pattern that I can see. Does anyone in chat have know what's going on there? Is it? It's not something that his opponent knows about or anything. It's just it.
Oh, so what it is that you see Fawn had cast Thoughtseize earlier in the game.
It is that. It's like
Yeah,
I'm sure I know he knows about these.
Yeah, so
Okay, cool.
Sam is letting himself remember which cards Fawn is aware of in his hand. So this is a really wise thing to
That
do.
is super good. That's the first time I've ever seen that directly on camera. I mean, you often see pros when they play against each other. They'll just like leave the cards face up. It's like, hey, we both know that you know about these, or to one side. But I've never seen that upside down thing before. That's really
kind of cool.
Yeah, this is I'm going to start using that.
I mean, it's like it's
this is
so
a good idea.
I may start doing it. Yeah.
Whoa, Sam, a revolutionary. Look at him. He's like, moving his arms in the way that a revolutionary would.
All right, here we go. We're setting up the red and blue mana.
All right, so here comes the combo. And he's going to try to combo off without Goblin Electromancer and or a Baral Chief of Compliance. We know that he has a Past in Flames in hand, and he has a healthy amount of rituals, so it doesn't seem like this is going to be the hardest thing in the world.
How much harder is it generally without either of those two creatures?
I mean, it makes it quite a bit more difficult. You're not so explosive. And, depending on what's in his hand, there's absolutely a possibility that he goes for it here and fails.
And Twan's got to be, thinking to himself, if I had that third land and was able to Snapcaster on the end of the last turn and Thoughtseize Sam again, would this be my fate right now?
Yeah, he's almost certainly thinking about the fact that, he missed that land drop and was unable to cast an additional Thoughtseize.
All right, Storm count currently at 2.
Post-sideboard, Fawn can use those disruption elements in conjunction with ways to interact with Sam's graveyard, which will significantly improve the ways in which he can disrupt Sam here.
You can see Sam kind of counting out his cards. Can I make this happen? What do I need to do? In what order do I need to make things happen? Here we're going to kick things off with an opt, Storm count at 3. So I have a question for you, JVL, just generally. It might sound a bit rude, but why do people play Storm? What is the draw to this kind of deck?
So it is the most streamlined, fastest combo strategy, basically, in terms of fastest consistent combo strategy. Like, there are pure Steel Paladin decks and the like that are actually faster. But if you're looking to beat decks like Scapeshift, decks like, Tron, like, those decks hate playing against this deck. And yes, like, sometimes they'll have access to things like Chalice of the Void, but, you have answers post-board. This is precisely the kind of deck you want to beat the decks that are trying to beat the fair decks.
Past in Flames.
Yeah, now Past in Flames will allow Sam to cast the cards from his graveyard, so he can, cast these rituals, have just an obscene amount of mana. But he currently doesn't have anything to do with this mana. That's an important note here.
So hoping to draw a win condition here.
Yeah. He's going to, he has multiple chances to find a card. Like, he's right now using Manamorphose, and that's going to get him one card deeper. But then it's also going to produce 2 blue mana, which will allow him to cast both those Sleight of Hands in his graveyard, so he can go digging a little more for a Grape Shot.
How dangerous is this, going off when you don't have a win con in hand?
I mean, he's getting very, very deep in his library. It's obviously, not ideal, but here's a situation where his opponent's tapped out. He seemed to have, he's getting a lot of cards. I feel like you kind of want to go for it in these spots usually.
He's found a Baral and another Past in Flames. Or, excuse me. Can't quite tell. Either way, it's going on at the bottom of his library.
Yeah, and he's not thrilled about that Baral either. That's not really the card he wants to find there. So one more peek with that Sleight of Hand.
little tip for those of you who haven't gone to a lot of GPs and think, oh, how will we know when the next round's starting? One little clue that we use is that when the giant clock in the room gets reset to 50 minutes, we may not be far away from pairings. That giant clock now says 50 minutes. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if we only get through this one game, which probably means we're not going to get to see the 12 posts. We might try and save some footage of that in case we get a minute later on. But we're about to go into high gear with the last 4 rounds of Swiss, MTG, Red Zone, all the action. But I think this may well be where we have to call a halt. But I've just had a message appear in front of me, and it says, just so you know, Rich, this is the last match of the entire round, and they're all still playing. So pairings won't be up just yet because this match is still actually happening down on the floor, apparently. But we'll stick with this early part and what happens here.
Results from Legacy and Standard. Ryan Kubin picks up his win in Standard. Tony Murata for the opposite team picks up a win in Legacy.
Sounds like they may just about be done.
So interesting here, though. During this comboing process, Sam still has not found the crucial Storm spell to finish off Fan. He has that Shivan Reef in play. He can use that Shivan Reef to cast an Opt from his graveyard, and then when he does so, he really, or I guess he's Sleight of Hand in hand also. He really needs to find something like Grape Shot or something that's going to find him a Grape Shot. Manamorphose would be fine too because it would give him more blue mana to dig deeper with more cards like Sleight of Hand.
Do we have any idea how many cards he's already looked at since this whole process began?
Around about 10-ish.
Oh, wow.
Maybe 11.
And this is why Tuan Fan sits here. This is why we wait it out. Sometimes it fizzles.
Absolutely. Don't just concede when your opponent starts doing this with their Storm deck, because there's always a chance that they were trying to get there. And even though his chances of getting there were quite good.
Oh, yeah, don't let that card fall down randomly. That's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like funny because the card is called Sleight of Hand, right?
Oh, my God. Oh, boy.
Sorry.
I'm so ashamed I missed that opportunity.
Oh, boy.
And
did he
not find it. No, he did
No?
not. All right, go.
Oh, that's so sad.
It's a sad day.
Oh. Let's just have a moment's silence for that fizzle. Okay, we can continue now.
Okay, great.
All right.
Yeah, there, picks him up. Go. Can he, my question now is, can he reassemble any kind of action?
It's really a very powerful game of Magic going on here. Do nothing for many, many cards and then get hit by a 2/2. Oh, now it's getting a bit bigger. It is the Death Shadow is getting a little bit bigger.
Let's flashback a Thoughtseize too.
We will just finish off this single game. Pairings have gone up, and I confess I do actually know who wins this overall match, and I'll tell you in just a minute.
Yeah, so now, from the looks of it, I mean, Sam is going to need to assemble quite a bit more in order to win here. He has a Passive Flame still in his graveyard. And suddenly, the clock coming from Fan is really, really, really fast.
Yeah, Fan just on 5 life.
Yeah, I mean, this Death Shadow, an 8-power creature, the Snapcaster Mage, turning that into 10 power. If Fan is able to find something like Temur Battle Rage, then he's attacking for lethal on the following turn.
All right, take 8. Drops Sam down to 10.
Yeah, it doesn't even need the Battle Rage. Because he
This is
took the
kinda it.
Baral. It's no longer a blocker from Sam. So, Sam gonna try to look at some cards with a Sleight of Hand here.
He's done here, surely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the likelihood of him winning this game is very, very, very low. Yeah, he's done for. So it looks like Fan able to get this first game. Sam looked at over 10 cards, cast 13 spells, and lost the game. So, Death Shadow closing out quickly. Sam from 18 life, 2 attack steps later, finding himself no longer of relevance.
Sam, though, credit to him, still trying to put something together if he can.
Yeah. Vaughn weathered the storm. It was like one of the, a guy, taking.
Did you do that on purpose?
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, he it's like one of those guys that during like a tornado who wraps his belt around telephone pole or something. It's all whipping around him. He sees cows circling him and whatnot, and then the storm passes and he's perfectly fine somehow, and then he casts Death Shadow and Sam dies.
Well, we are in the death throes of this one, and I'm going to tell you now that the team of Ryan Kubin-Phan and Eric Campusano do in fact go on to win this match and advance to 9-1. And Rockenbach-Wolloch-Murata will fall to 8-2, about 40 minutes from what you're watching on screen right now. We are closing in on the very end of Good Morning Magic. Let's just bring it back to the booth very briefly because the pairings are already up for round 11. We have had a ton of fun with you, Rich, Maria, and JVL. Your morning entertainment here, trying something a little bit different. Hope you've enjoyed it, and a lot of you have. And we can't wait to kick things into high gear now because the afternoon is well on the way, and we are about to head into MTG Red Zone. All the best action through the 4 rounds, and we'll find out who makes the top 4. So thanks for being with us on our Sunday morning and your Sunday wherever you are in the world. Rich, Maria, and JVL saying bye.